He had these French spotches on his hand, speculate. There's nothing. The one thing I know is he doesn't have venous problems in his foot because they lie about everything. So I don't believe anything they say. But I got to tell you, I woke up. If you woke up in the morning and your foot was as big as your neck, you'd be worried.
All right, now for our questions from the best, most learned, smartest, insightful listeners in the country. And we'll start off with Laura in Raleigh, North Carolina, one of my favorite towns. She says she's heard that Democrats must respond to the moment by taking bold action, doing bold things that may not be comfortable, taking risks. James, what bold things should they be doing?
Well, I love Raleigh. This woman is that's very funny. When you don't have power, you can't do anything bold. The bold thing you can do is win elections.
Right.
Okay. It's the hardest thing to some people understand is, why do we do this? Why do we do that? We can't do anything. We don't have power. You want to do bold things? Do what they did in Virginia 11. Do what they did in the Iowa 1st Senate Congressional District. Do what they did in Florida. Vote to do bold things. But right now, they're so bold. We don't have any power. What the hell we can do? And it's sometimes in life, it's important, if you want to fulfill your expectations, at some point, you got to acknowledge your limitations at another point. And that's where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Bob in Princeton, New Jersey Bob says to us, let's stop talking about the presidency. The real battle is for 2026. Right on, Bob. You're absolutely right. Look, I don't care how Gavin Newsom is running against Pete Buttigieg or anyone else. I think there's a lot of great possibilities out there, including Andy Bashir. I don't rule out Wes Moore, despite what he said the other day, but that's in the future. The real battle is for 2026. And if Democrats don't take back the House, it's going to be the worst disaster in a midterm election in our lifetime. And they've got a chance to take back the Senate, too. So you're right. Starting November, whenever it is, 7th or 5th of 2026, you can start worrying about 2028.
I've just got one little mild disagreement with you. Sometimes we do. The most important election you face is the next one. It's the one you face with. And right now, and I think you do agree with me, Virginia and New Jersey are ultimately critical because they will determine momentum, fundraising, recruitment, any number of things that are going to affect the 2026 outcome.
I do agree with you, and I would add the California redistricting referendum as being critical too.
I would agree with that. But what you got to know is political consultants just look. They said statesman looks to the next generation, a politician looks to the next election, and a political hack looks at the next tracking pole. Okay, we don't have a very long horizon. Yeah, but I think here we can. My belief is politics is sequential. One event influences another event, and I cannot contain. And I may have to just eat crow. I've done it before. After the elections coming up for this November, but I think we're going to do very, very well.
Yeah. James Stephen in Palm Springs, California, says if Pete Hegseth is now Secretary of War, does that mean the office of Secretary of Defense is vacant?
So thank you. And I used to go to Palm Springs when I was in the Marine Corps. I was it's very wealthy, okay, particularly in 8 months out of the year. I was out there a year and a half ago. I always have a great time when I do that. Interestingly, the symbol of the Defense Department is the eagle, and in one hand, the eagle holds the olive branch of peace, and the other hand holds the arrows of war. And when they changed it to the Defense Department, the eagle used to look toward the arrows of war. They changed the eagle's vision to the olive branch of peace. A pretty interesting thing. And in one sense, it doesn't matter. In another sense, there have been some great secretaries of defense. I mean, some real fucking patriots. You could name 5 off the top of your head. You probably knew 5, okay? And the fact that this teddy-ass cable TV drunk jock, well, he's not a jock, it's jock sniffer, is running one of the most storied departments of any government anywhere in the world I just can't digest it. And they're going around and talking about fucking changing the name from war to defense. What are they naming? Worshiping the Confederacy, which was nothing but a pack of goddamn traitors. And you just can't allow yourself to delve into a pit of bitterness. But let me tell you one thing, Secretary Hedgesmith, there are people that vote in the Pentagon, and there are a lot. Most of them are traditional Republicans. Let's just say that the people that work in the 5 rings, you're expected to vote 72% Republican. They're going to clock in about 52. Watch it. These guys are going to take their vengeance out on you at the ballot box. And trust me, you want one thing to remember: in a special election in the Florida 1st Congressional District, the first time since the 70s, a Democrat carried Escambia County, Florida. I explain it to you. That's the extreme western county of the Florida Panhandle, and it's nothing but Navy people. They are not happy with you, Pete. You don't have support in the building. You better watch your back, because they're after you. Just give you a little warning here. Watch out. You're not popular.
Yeah, I would just tell Stephen, who asked, does that mean the Office of Secretary of Defense is vacant? Stephen, it's been vacant since January 20th, 2025, whatever you name it, because they have a vacant, totally unqualified secretary.
A drunk cable TV jock.
Yeah.
Is running the place that, the storied departments in government anywhere in the world. It's a disgrace.
Yeah. Linda in Carbondale, Colorado asked, do we need more qualifications for people to serve in Congress? She's thinking of Lauren Boebert. There are some eminently unqualified people in the United States Congress, more so than any time that I can remember. But no, we don't need more qualifications. It's up to the voters. We need voters to express their will more. You people, Colorado is such a great state. And I'm not totally sure how Boebert's new district, she had to move to a new district, but she was going to lose in her old one, how that's structured. But, put up a good candidate against her at least. But no, we don't want any more new qualifications.
I'm so political and cynical. If we got to have a Republican district in Colorado, I'm sure we do. We probably should. Eastern part of the state is heavily Republican. There's no one I'd rather have than Lauren Boebert. What do you think?
You've always been a big Beetlejuice fan, James. So
but she in green with Nancy Mace is to be determined. I think this stuff with Epstein at some level, and I never thought I'd say this. I think it does offend. And I could, God, I certainly can understand why. I think they're genuinely offended by this.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I never thought that.
I softened my views.
Anything that I thought
2 minutes ago,
wasn't performative, but she's probably like a lot of women. You talk to women, we don't just realize how prevalent this kind of stuff is. And it's not just prevalent in Hollywood and Wall Street, man. It's prevalent in the stock room at the Dollar General. It's prevalent everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't think sometimes as a male, I don't think I sufficiently appreciate some of the real harm and mental issues that this kind of stuff causes. And you don't have to even be Jeffrey Epstein. You can be something less and cause people a lot of grief.
Yeah. James Arthur, who's here in Washington, D.C., says, given the rumors swirling around about Donald Trump's current health issues, what do we know about his health. Should people in the know speak out?
I don't know. I've been doing these videos back in January of this year, maybe, or something like that. I started pointing out that he had these red spotches on his hand, speculate. There's nothing. The one thing I know is he doesn't have venous problems in his foot because they lie about everything. So I don't believe anything they say. But I got to tell you, I woke up. If you woke up in the morning and your foot was as big as your neck, you'd be worried. I mean, there's something wrong there. I'm not neat to figure out. And they cake his whole body with fucking makeup. I don't know when you get old up. I'm sure you have the same thing. You break out, you have kind of shit on your arm, and stuff happens. But I don't know what all this means.
You don't think his foot is due that bone spurs that he had? Remember those awful bone spurs that he had back in the 1960s?
If he told me it was September, I wouldn't believe him. Okay. I don't believe anything he says. But I don't know if there's anything wrong with him, but whatever he says it is, I know that's not it.
That's true. Well, let me slightly disagree. A broken clock is right twice a day, and I think he accidentally tells the truth, twice a day out of the thousands of times he doesn't.
I'll give it a watch.
I'm being generous. Yeah. John in Long Beach, California, asked a very good question. How would our present Congress have handled Watergate? They'd have taken a dive. They wouldn't have stood up. There wouldn't have been any Howard Baker. There wouldn't have been any Bill Cohen. There wouldn't have been any, Sam Ervin wouldn't have had a chance. And I think the Supreme Court would have gone along with their Republican. So I think that, and the media would have been far different. What Trump is doing is far worse than anything that occurred in Watergate. And he doesn't seem to be paying the price, James.
Albert, I think that this is a possibility. We might have the right to epitaph in the United States that we knew. I hope not. But got to admit it's somewhat of a possibility. And this country is going to die of cowardice. I mean, I think the whole thing with Biden and now Harris, it was just manifest cowardice.
Yep.
If you look at the Republican Party, it is just a pack of cowards. They don't want to lose a thing. I cannot think of 6 people that are bigger cowards in American history than the 6 Republican hacks that sit on the Supreme Court. And look, it's hardly, they did Dred Scott, they did Plessy, they made some terrible decisions, but there was always this faith that it would be self-correcting, that somehow or another the founders gave them this bequeathed them, or they seized, I guess, in Mayberry versus Marshall, or whatever the fuck it was. And these people are going to go down as staggering cowards that just bent and manipulated anything that they could to suck up, to graft not just in government, graft in their own lives, and just anything they could to please power. And history is going to judge them very harshly. And the person that deserves the harshest judgment is John Roberts, because he parades around like and people bought this bullshit that he's a consensus builder and he won't stray too far from this. And at the end of the day, he's a fucking corrupt political hack, and that's all he is.
James, our final question is from Jono. He didn't give us his last name or where he's from, and I normally would rule that question out, but this is one that's worth discussing. He said, we referred to Mondami as a, quote, socialist. Jono says, no, he is, in fact, the winner of the Democratic Party primary and thus the Democratic nominee for the office of mayor of New York City, right?
Well, he described himself as a socialist. Yeah, he's a member of the Democratic Socialist Party. I'm sorry. It's not, he's a self-described socialist. Now, what does socialism mean? Denmark? Or does socialism mean North Korea? I don't know. I think he would.
It's a lot more Denmark than.
He's a Denmark. I completely agree. But I'm just, the term socialist can mean whatever you want it to mean. And look, if you believe in a robust safety net, and then I'm a socialist. I'll tell you what I'm for. Who knows? I have, my great grandfather was born in Denmark. I mean, it's a great country, but no one would say that there's certainly not strong elements of socialism in Denmark, any Nordic society. There is. But look at North Korea. It's not the same country, I promise you.
Yeah, James, months ago, right before that primary, I expressed a hope that Andrew Cuomo win because I thought that Mondami would become a great foil, and Republicans all over the country would run against him, saying he's the Democratic Party. They're trying to do that. He's better than I thought. I think he's somewhat naive. Some of that stuff he's never going to get done. Some of it shouldn't be done. And I think Cuomo has really further disgraced himself the way he's behaved in campaign. And so I got to tell you, I don't vote in New York City, but today, if I had a choice between Mondami and Andrew Cuomo, I'd go with Mondami.
Yeah, yes. Everybody says stuff, and so he's a Democratic nominee. And by the way, he's going to probably carry the Jewish vote in New York. I mean, I don't like some of the stuff he said, but he's correctly identifying the problem. There's certainly a part of the party that is extremely urban, that likes him, and give the guy a chance.
Yeah.
He's young, and he said some stupid things. Who hadn't said stupid things? But I don't know. I don't have any sense of. By the way, I think Andrew was a damn good governor. I tell that to anybody. I can't tell you people have problems with personality and issues. Some people on his staff, but in terms of the stuff he did as governor of New York, he was a damn good governor.
You and I would probably slightly differ on that, but he
was very good on gay rights. He's very good to upstate New York. I know that for sure. He probably got a little power mad, but some people do. But he has not laid out anything about what he wants to do, mayor. And I don't know what Eric Adams is doing. That guy is like, you're talking something no self-pride. He might win the award.
And they want to make him ambassador to Saudi Arabia. I can see that. I can see this administration.
He would fit in beautifully there.
Oh my God. Anyway, okay. Go Mondami. Hey, listen, we love those questions. If we didn't get to yours this week, please send it in again, and we'll try to get to it next week. One of the hardest things we do every week, is pick out the 7 or so questions that we have time to do on the show, and we love hearing from you. So please, and we haven't heard as much from some of our foreign listeners. So you guys, come on.
Yeah, we're waiting for down under people, huh?
All right, exactly. And
down.
Yeah.